Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know, we love to explore those kind of behind-the-scenes jobs, and today we're looking at something we all rely on, but rarely think about, the management of really big facilities.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
We found this great article from Talent Lift called Facilities Director Interview Questions, published just this April,
Oh, nice and recent.
and it got us thinking that these questions aren't just about hiring, they're a window into just how much goes into keeping places like hospitals, universities, these massive office complexes running smoothly.
Right. And this isn't just for people who might be, hiring for that role. It's really for anyone who's curious about the huge amount of work and the skills and the thought process that goes into keeping these facilities operational.
So today we're going to break down these interview questions, see what they reveal about the challenges, the responsibilities, the strategic thinking involved in this whole world of facilities management. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up we've got situational questions.
Yeah.
These are those what-if scenarios, right? They really put you on the spot. So imagine this. You're the facilities director, and bam, a power outage hits. Critical systems are down. What's your first move?
Well, I think what's really interesting here is that this question immediately tests your ability to prioritize under pressure. Your top concern isn't just restoring power, it's about making sure everyone in the facility is safe and that you prevent damage to any sensitive equipment. So it's not as simple as, oh, flip the switch on the backup generator.
Right, you need more than just a plan B, right?
Exactly. A really good facilities director would have already thought through all the critical points
Hmm.
and would have a plan for different scenarios. What if it's a short outage? What if it's longer? What if the backup fails? They would know how to assess the situation fast, contact the right people, and implement like emergency procedures.
Okay, so it's about being proactive, anticipating problems before they even happen.
Absolutely. Thinking ahead is key.
So let's say there's a major pipe burst overnight. Imagine the damage, the water, the potential structural issues. What steps are crucial in that kind of disaster?
Okay, so a pipe burst, that's a classic facilities nightmare. The first thing is to contain the damage, shut off the water source as quickly as possible. Then you need to figure out the extent of the problem, which might involve calling in structural engineers. After that, you can start the actual repair process, dry everything out, fix the pipe.
It sounds pretty intense, like a building emergency room situation.
It can be. And a great facilities director wouldn't just be scrambling to find a plumber in the middle of the night. They'd have a network of reliable contractors ready to go with pre-negotiated rates and a clear plan for who to call and when.
So you're saying it's not just about fixing things, it's about having the right systems in place to deal with any problem quickly and efficiently.
Exactly.
Okay, let's imagine another scenario. The HVAC system fails, and you need a long shutdown. We all know how uncomfortable a too hot or too cold room can be, but imagine that on a massive scale.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. A long HVAC shutdown, it's not just annoying, it can really mess things up. Productivity, people's health, even safety, depending on what kind of facility it is. So communication is crucial here. You need to keep everyone informed, what's happening, how long it's going to take, what you're doing to make things more comfortable in the meantime. And this is where preventive maintenance comes in. If you're regularly checking the HVAC system, replacing parts before they break down, you can avoid these major failures in the first
So
place.
being proactive,
Yeah.
again, and being able to communicate effectively across different departments, different stakeholders.
Absolutely. And being able to tailor that communication to different audiences.
Okay, next situation. A hurricane or a natural disaster is on its way. What falls under the facilities director's responsibilities in that scenario?
That's when things get really serious. The safety of everyone in the building, protecting the assets, it all comes down to the facilities director. So you're talking about securing anything loose outside, maybe boarding up windows, making sure emergency supplies are stocked and accessible, having clear evacuation plans, and potentially shutting down non-essential systems. They need to know the local disaster protocols inside and out and have a detailed emergency plan that's regularly updated and that everyone's trained on.
It's a huge responsibility.
Okay.
Okay, last scenario. You've got this high-profile client visit coming up, and at the same time, there's some essential maintenance that needs to be done. How do you juggle those competing demands?
That's a tough one. You want to make a good impression on the client, but you can't neglect essential maintenance. So you have to weigh the priorities. Can you reschedule the maintenance? Can you do it in a way that's less disruptive? Can you talk to the client, explain why it's necessary, maybe even turn it into a positive by highlighting the benefits?
So it's about being flexible, finding creative solutions, and being able to communicate effectively with everyone involved.
Exactly. It's like a puzzle figuring out how to make it all work. And that's just the situational questions. These really only scratch the surface.
Okay, let's move on to the soft skills questions.
Mhm.
These are all about how a facilities director interacts with people. Why is teamwork so important in this role?
Well, a facilities director, they don't work in a vacuum, right? They're constantly interacting with their own team, but also with all these other departments, IT, security, HR, you name it. And then there are external contractors and
There's some
vendors.
big moving parts.
And all these people have different priorities, different ways of doing things. So you need to be able to build relationships, communicate effectively, and work together to achieve a common goal. Take a big renovation project, for example. You've got architects, engineers, contractors, the facilities team. Everyone has to be on the same page.
Right. And what about conflict resolution? How does that play into managing a facility smoothly?
Conflicts happen, it's just a fact of life. But how you handle them can make or break the whole operation. Whether it's a disagreement within the team or a clash with another department, the facilities director needs to be able to step in, listen to everyone's perspective, and find a solution that works for everyone. If you let conflicts fester, they can really damage morale, slow things down, even create safety risks.
So being a good mediator is essential.
Definitely. Now, what about motivating staff? Why is that so important for a facilities director?
The facilities team, they're the unsung heroes, right? They're the ones who keep everything running behind the scenes. But their work can be demanding, sometimes even dangerous. So it's crucial to keep them motivated to create a positive work environment. And it's not just about saying good job every once in a while. It's about showing them that their work is valued, giving them opportunities to learn and grow, and creating a culture of respect and appreciation. Absolutely. And it's also about recognizing the impact their work has on the entire organization. Now, facilities directors often have to juggle multiple projects at the same time. What does that tell us about the kind of organizational skills they need?
Think of it like this. You've got routine maintenance happening all the time. Maybe there's a big renovation project underway. And then there are always unexpected emergencies popping up. So you need to be incredibly organized, know how to prioritize tasks, allocate resources efficiently, and stay on top of everything. You're basically conducting an orchestra, making sure all the instruments are playing in harmony.
So being a master of time management and prioritization is key. And finally, in the soft skills section, we have creative problem solving. Why is that so important for a facilities director?
Well, because things rarely go according to plan, right? A critical piece of equipment might break down, a supplier might delay a shipment, a storm could damage part of the building. A good facilities director needs to be able to think on their feet, come up with creative solutions, and find ways to work around obstacles. Sometimes you have to improvise, think outside the box to keep things running smoothly. It's about being resourceful, adaptable, and always willing to learn.
Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about the role-specific interview questions. These are all about the nuts and bolts of facilities management. First up, environmental regulations. Why is that such a big deal?
These regulations are there for a reason. They protect the environment, they protect public health, and if you don't follow them, there can be serious consequences, fines, legal trouble, even damage to the organization's reputation.
So it's not just about ticking boxes, it's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly. A good facilities director needs to be up to date on all the relevant regulations, from waste disposal to air quality to energy efficiency. And it's not just about compliance, it's about being proactive, looking for ways to reduce the organization's environmental footprint.
Now let's talk about minimizing downtime. That's a huge priority for any facility, right?
Sure.
What are some of the strategies a facilities director might use to prevent disruptions?
So you've got two approaches, proactive and reactive. On the proactive side, it's all about preventive maintenance, regularly inspecting equipment, replacing parts before they fail, having a schedule and sticking to it. That way you can catch problems before they become big headaches.
Makes sense.
On the reactive side, it's about having systems in place to deal with problems quickly when they do happen. That means having a clear process for reporting issues, a well-trained team that can respond quickly, and a network of reliable contractors. It's about minimizing the impact of the disruption.
So it's about planning ahead, but also being able to adapt when things go wrong.
Exactly. Now imagine you're managing multiple facilities. How do you prioritize maintenance and repair needs across all those locations? That's where things get really complex. You have to consider a lot of factors. Safety concerns, the importance of the affected system, the cost of delays, and of course the overall budget. You need to be able to make strategic decisions about where to allocate resources.
So it's about balancing competing demands and making tough choices.
Right. And there are tools that can help with this. Computerized maintenance management systems, or CMMS, can track maintenance requests, schedule tasks, monitor equipment performance, and generate reports that help you identify trends and potential problems.
Sounds pretty high tech. Now, what about working with contractors and vendors? What skills are essential there?
Well, you need to be able to negotiate effectively, communicate clearly, and ensure that the work is done to the required standards. You're responsible for making sure that the contractors you hire are qualified, insured, and that they follow all safety regulations. And you need to monitor their work, make sure they're meeting deadlines and staying within budget.
So it's a lot more than just picking up the phone and calling someone.
Absolutely. And finally, in the role-specific questions, we have safety and security considerations. Why is this area so crucial for a facilities director? It all comes down to this. The facilities director is ultimately responsible for the safety and well-being of everyone who uses the building. That means understanding all the relevant codes and regulations, conducting regular inspections, implementing safety procedures, and making sure everyone is trained on those procedures. It's about creating a culture of safety.
And that's a huge responsibility.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but there's one more type of question Talent Lift highlights: STAR interview questions.
Right, those are the ones that focus on past experiences.
Exactly. So instead of asking hypothetical questions, these questions ask the candidate to describe a specific situation, the task they had to complete, the action they took, and the result. It's a way to get a better sense of how they actually handle real-world challenges.
So let's say they ask about a time when the heating system failed during a particularly cold winter. What would you be listening for in their response?
I'd want to hear how they assess the situation, how they prioritize tasks, how they communicated with different stakeholders, and what steps they took to resolve the problem. It's about seeing their problem-solving skills in action.
And what about a question about handling emergency repairs? What insights can that provide?
That type of question really highlights their ability to manage a crisis. Can they think clearly under pressure? Can they mobilize resources quickly? Can they communicate effectively in a stressful situation?
It's about seeing how they perform when the stakes are high.
Exactly. And then there are questions about tough decisions, like having to make cuts to the maintenance budget.
That's a real-world scenario for many facilities directors.
Absolutely. So in their response, you'd be looking for evidence of their financial acumen, their ability to prioritize needs, and their willingness to make difficult choices.
And what about questions related to sustainability initiatives? What can those reveal?
Those questions can show their understanding of green technologies, their ability to implement new initiatives, and their commitment to sustainability. It's about seeing if they're forward-thinking and environmentally conscious.
Finally, let's say they ask about a complex facility renovation project. What would you hope to learn from their response?
That kind of question can really showcase their teamwork skills, their communication abilities, and their overall project management experience. It's about seeing how they handle a large-scale, multifaceted project.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the role of a facilities director is incredibly complex and demanding. It's not just about fixing things. It's about strategic thinking, leadership, communication, financial savvy, and a deep commitment to safety and sustainability.
Absolutely. And these interview questions, they really give you a glimpse into the challenges and the rewards of this often invisible but essential role.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? About all the other essential roles that keep our world running smoothly, the people who work behind the scenes to make sure everything operates as it should.
It does. I mean, think about the supply chains that bring us the products we use every day, the complex IT networks that connect us to the world, the regulatory frameworks that ensure safety and fairness. There's a whole universe of unseen work that we often take for granted, but that's absolutely critical to our modern lives.
So maybe, in a future deep dive, we can explore some of those other fascinating essential roles that keep our world ticking.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.